Welcome to the Arts to Hearts podcast, a show where we take a peek into the hearts and lives of our favorite artists. From running a creative business and practice to mindset, we talk about everything that goes behind into making a life and a career that you adore as an artist. Think of this as your happy hour with your favorite artist in your studio. Hear them share the messy and the wonderful side of creating and living a creative, heartfelt life within and outside our studios. As you tune in, be ready to be inspired and encouraged. I'm your host, Charuka Arora, an artist, designer, entrepreneur, and founder of Arts to Hearts project. Thank you so much for being here. Let's jump right in. Before we get into this episode, I quickly want to remind you that last few days left to submit to our open call, ending on 30th of October, 11:59 midnight EST. Yes, you guys, only a couple of more days left to go for our open call facade. We are calling all mixed media artists, and the open call is ending on 30th of October 2021. We are so excited to be hosting this open call in collaboration with I Like Your Work podcast and guest curated by Erica B. Hess, founder and creator of I Like Your Work. The selected participants will be a part of an online exhibit and will be a part of a documentary hosted on I Like Your Work and Arts to Hearts project. Not only that, Erica is also selecting one artist for the studio visit series on I Like Your Work. So it's not too late. Come join us, all mixed media artists, all genders for the first time on Arts to Hearts. Submit now on www.artstoheartsproject.com/submit. Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Arts to Hearts podcast, and this is your host, Charuka. I am so excited to be here back on the podcast, and I have a lovely friend and an amazing artist with me today. We've been planning to record this podcast for a really long time, so it truly feels amazing to be finally be able to record this episode, and I'm sure that you love her as much as I do. It's truly a pleasure, and it's on my honor to have Sarah Detweiler on the podcast today. Welcome to the podcast, Sarah.
Hi, Charika. Thank you. It's my honor to be here.
I'm sure. I think I do we even need an introduction for you, because I feel like
Oh, stop.
you.
You're like my biggest cheerleader.
I truly am, definitely. Can't be on top of the list. This episode and this recording was on my list. I wanted to make sure that we do this, and I'm so glad that we're finally doing this. But okay, let's
Thank
see.
you.
For the sake of formality, would you want to introduce yourself and what you do?
Yes, my name is Sarah Detweiler, and I am. I sometimes have a hard time explaining my art, but I'm a figurative painting, I would say, but I also include embroidery techniques in most of my work.
Yes, amazing. And I I've been a big fan of your work. You know how much I love your work. That's like I absolutely love it. And I know that a lot of people would resonate with me in this. Um, Sarah, in the past, I think we've known each other for past 1.5 year, maybe close to two
Mhm.
now, with the whole
Yeah.
Art Queens. And I've seen, like, of course, in the beginning also your work was amazing, but I've seen you build one of the most beautiful series that I have seen so far, which is The Hidden Mother.
Oh, thanks.
And
Thank you.
and it is truly such an amazing experience even as a viewer, and I'm sure it must have been even more better for you when you were making these works, and you're still continuing on working that series. I can spot the new piece in the background here right now. Okay, but
Sneak
before we
peek
get
for
in,
you.
yes, thank you. You showed me this one. I remember seeing it on
I
Instagram.
did. I think you might have been the
Yeah.
first person I showed.
Oh my God. Is that like, I am so excited for that privilege. Okay. So before we get into all of those things, I have so many questions. Let's start from the scratch, because I really want to know how things started for you. Um, I know a lot of interviews that you've already done. I don't want us to repeat those parts for
Right.
sure. Yeah. But in general, for someone who, for where you've reached today, let's talk about how did you start? Did you think you wanted to be an artist always?
Yes, I always knew that.
Such a
I
strong
actually
yes.
just yeah, no doubts there. Um, and I don't remember it ever being a question of whether or not that was okay. That was just yeah. Although let's see. I just actually for my series that I'm working on now for my next show, which is very it's based on a theme of nostalgia. Um, I I raided my parents' attic the other day and
Oh, wow.
found all these treasures. I was so grateful to my parents that they saved all this stuff. Um, and I found a journal from my third grade
Wow.
class. I think that I found the page where I wrote that I wanted to be an artist,
Oh, my
and
God.
that was really cool. And I
Oh,
showed
wow.
my daughter who's in first grade now, and she just like her eyes lit up, and she's like, "Wow,
Oh,
mom, you knew."
oh, wow. Does she also want to be an artist?
She does, yes. She
Oh,
wants to
my
be an
God.
artist and a pet trainer.
Oh, oh, she has quite similar dreams to mine, I think.
Yeah.
I
So
still think
yeah, so
yeah, go ahead.
oh yeah. Well, so yes, I always knew I wanted to be an artist. And I always did all of my extracurricular time for the most part went to art related things. So
Did you have any creative influence in your life? I mean, I feel like um, art, being artist, is not a very conventional thought. And
right,
like, I'm sure, like, when your daughter sees you today, it's not something really strange for her. It's not something that she's not seen. It's very it's a very obvious and very protective environment for her to think of something like this, because she has a role model in form of
right.
you. How was that experience for you? Did you have someone that felt like that made this thought possible for you, or you were just like, this is like it was on your own?
I think kind of both. My I think it's in my genes because my dad's father was a painter.
Oh, wow.
Um, and he also worked in advertising um, back when they didn't use computers to do advertising, and and he painted portraits and landscapes,
Oh, wow.
and um, so he did a lot of. I was not. I'm not gonna. It's not. It wasn't like a very close relationship, but he did definitely influence me and teach me some things. And I think he was the first person that taught me how to draw a portrait. So that kind of stuck with me. And uh, yeah, I had, I think my parents have always been my biggest supporters,
Wow.
but neither of them are artists. So they didn't know, like, they did a great job considering that they didn't necessarily know how to kind of uh, help a young artist flourish. But they definitely made their efforts and signed me up for extra classes and I would get a lot of art things. I was allowed to paint in the basement where the rug they didn't care if I got paint on it. Things
Yeah,
things
absolutely.
like that.
I'm sure, I think they've done a great job with that, because I just feel like in itself being an artist is such a it is a hard experience, because I think it's also very very isolated practice in itself. And then
Yes.
there's also a lot of self-talking to and fro and all of that. And I think if you get the support of your near and dear ones, and if they are there, um, it just makes the entire process so much better. Otherwise, it's even more
Yeah.
lonelier than it already is.
Yes.
Amazing.
But in another sense, I didn't have to like art wasn't one of my ways to rebel because I had
Okay.
so much support. So so I rebelled in some, some less safe ways, but I will say that like art is such an excellent way to and safe way to rebel.
Yeah.
So and you have to do that. You have to rebel in your life, right? So in some
Yes.
ways, um, if anybody out there is feeling like they don't have the support of their family, then they can look at it as like their
Yeah.
rebellion.
Yes. And I think even yeah, I think a lot of us as artists use art as a rebellion. Like it's a subtle rebellion in some ways, and
Yeah.
then it grows from there. And but I think what also, at least that worked for me, because I spent a lot of time alone growing up, and art became like this friend, this escape, this place of comfort that we like, that you create for yourself, that
Hmm.
just takes that, this subconscious company. There's something that you can feel, but it's not there, but it is there, so that
Yes.
it, even when it's lonely, it's not lonely. I remember
Hmm.
while I was growing up, so I spent a lot of time in my room, and I would just sit for hours and hours and not go out. And my mom would be really like, she would be so astonished that how can I spend, like everybody in my family would be so astonished that how can I spend so many hours in a room closed, and just just that. And for me, to me, it never felt unusual, because I never felt that I was alone at that point. In fact, I feel like I felt more lonelier when I was amongst a lot of people. Instead, I felt
Oh,
so much
so get
better,
that.
so much better when I was making that, whatever I was making. And I think what is even amazing is when we start off, and this is a recent conversation that I've also had with Laura. I had Laura on the podcast, so we had such a lovely conversation about these things, and like how when we begin, our practice is so naive but so fresh, like it is so us. But once you get into it, it's so hard to keep that that freshness, that experimentalism,
Yeah.
that child alive, especially when you try to pursue
Hmm.
creative arts or visual, whatever you're doing as a profession. have you
Yeah.
had have you had any experience like that?
Um, like art, do you mean recently or
Anyway,
uh
in your journey so far.
uh I mean, yeah, I don't know if any artist can escape that. I'd like to meet them if they have. But yeah, I mean, I also have a background in art therapy. So
Oh, wow.
I also hear that in a different way too, because I've worked, you know, in the past knowing the power of art and
Yeah.
knowing how there is that certain point in childhood that the artists continue on and other children don't continue on, and then they feel like they remove that title. You know how they say every
Yeah.
every child, if you ask them if they're an
Exactly.
artist, will tell you they're an artist. um, and just like getting to work with adults in the psychiatric setting and trying to help them find that child artist within them again.
Yeah.
um, and so that's a really beautiful thing. And
Yeah.
um, but I definitely think that yes, in the professional artist's life, you do still get caught up in that.
Yeah.
And I feel that, because art therapy is what I was doing before I became a mom, and
Oh, wow.
that's when I really pushed my fine art career forward, because I was a stay-at-home mom and I was able to do that. Um, but I feel like uh, in art therapy, my art was so much more about process,
Hmm.
and there was a lot of play involved.
Yeah.
And I miss that sometimes,
Yeah.
because I don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
I can do it with my children, but I feel like anytime I'm doing my art making, it's like I'm working towards a show or something where it has to be
Yeah.
focused on that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answered the question.
No, it perfectly makes sense, and I think it's so strange that we all, as we feel we are moving forward, we also forget that we are giving so much away in this process, that we need to make sure that we're reinventing, like re-adding it intentionally into our lives. Which is, I remember when I first started getting back into the arts, it was, I used to have so much fun because it never was for anything. It was just for myself, because I was either making for, you know, an hour a day or 2 hours a day, and it was just like I wanted to escape from something, and it just brought me joy. I didn't think, was it good, was it bad, is it fitting my style, is it fitting my
Hmm.
series, will someone like it, how will I share
Right.
it, like or is does this fit my theme, or does it fit my color palette, or whatever we keep ourselves into. And I think now it's so hard to keep those voices silent, even if I'm like, even if it's for a few minutes.
Right. No, I know. You're
Mm.
you're so right, and it probably would add to my art practice if I even just took out 10-15 minutes before I got into the serious work, and just did a little play.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, maybe
Okay.
I'll try that out.
We can't wait to see that. Okay, but let's get back into your work. Let's can you talk a little bit about, first let's talk about the major broad theme of what kind of work do you make and what really influences you, and then we'll of course go into the hidden mothers.
Okay. Um, I guess if I were to describe my work to somebody that was not familiar with it, um, I would say that um, I've always worked mostly in portraiture and figurative narratives. Um, and these days it's mostly on portraiture, but it's kind of expanding the idea of what a portrait is,
Yeah.
um, not the traditional portrait. And the as far as process goes, I include hand embroidery techniques into my work, um, and that is ultimately it's because it brings me joy, and that I love to have both
Yeah.
processes in my practice. Um, and it also allows me to play with, I love to experiment with materials,
Yeah.
and I like to try new things. So it
Hmm.
allows me, you know,
Yeah.
um, and I like to explore textures and levels of the surface as well. So um, I would say that primarily I work in oil. That's my preferred medium. but it depends. I'll use whatever I need to make what it is happen.
Yeah, that's such a nice statement. Okay. Um, in the last year, you've developed a body of work called Hidden Mothers.
Mm-hmm.
That has really um, I think added a lot more dimension to your work and your identity as an artist. You've Do you want to talk about how that series started for you and why Hidden Mothers?
Uh, yeah. So I always try to figure out a new way to explain it too. So not to bore people that have heard my explanation, but um, I stumbled across the Victorian Hidden Mother
Yeah.
photographs. Um, and this was just for anybody that doesn't know, it's when the photography was long exposure photography and you had to sit still so it wouldn't blur. uh, Children's portraits, a trend started where the mothers, and I have to say too, it probably wasn't always the mother. I know that there's been fathers or nannies also, probably in the photos, but um, predominantly it was probably the mothers would throw some sort of fabric over them to try to camouflage them
Come.
into the scene. I'm looking where you're sitting right now, Charuka, and thinking, I'm seeing like, oh, okay. um, I wish everybody had the
I
visual.
I have
Um,
I have I have a hidden child, right? The one that you can't see,
yeah,
but I
I
have
know your
both.
dog. um, yeah, so this just fascinated me because it's like, in some of the photographs, it was more convincing. I think like you're I think that's a chair, but I kind of see some hands maybe. And then there's some that are just blatant, heads, ghostly looking things holding these kids still for the photos. Um, and I actually didn't start the series until, I don't know, was it a few years after I first noticed it? But I put it like I planted the seed.
Yeah.
I think I
Where did
needed,
you? How did you
what's that?
stumble? How did you stumble upon this photograph? Um,
Yeah, it was like I know I've been asked this before, and I really wish I could remember the actual blog. There was some blog that I subscribed to
oh wow.
that just like I want to say like mental flaws or
Okay.
something like that, where they would talk about like random weird
It was
things.
totally random. There was like no, you weren't researching for something, or you
No,
had
it wasn't.
nothing. It just out of the
No, it just popped up in my email. Yeah, and I always say I had like a very guttural response to it.
Hmm.
Um, so I planted the seed, but I think I needed to build up the confidence to actually explore it. I think I wasn't quite there yet where, I don't know,
What
I felt like,
what time was this? What stage of life were you in at this point?
so I have done research since to try to find out when I first heard about it. And I think it was around 2018. So my daughter was already 3. I was
Yeah.
already a mom, which
Yeah.
is, I think, probably a lot of why I
Yeah.
responded to it that way. So I yeah, I kind of planted the seed, and then I have to say, and this story actually is, I feel like, connected to your community, and also I don't think I've ever told it. Um, the first Hidden Mother, which is actually owned by Emily Mullet, who you
Oh, wow.
know.
Charuka, okay, love her.
And you've done, yeah. So she has the original, which is awesome. Um, I did it for, so I was accepted into an issue of Create magazine, and the jurors were Sarah and Jason from Paradigm,
Oh wow.
and with that issue, what
Okay.
came with getting with it's all very
Oh
connected.
goodness. Oh my goodness. I if I'm thinking, I mean, if this is what you're going to say, I'm blown. Go ahead.
Okay, so with that issue came a show. Everybody that got in that issue, Paradigm was having a show, and
Yeah,
it
that
was
was one of the very early shows of Create, I feel.
yeah, I think, well, it was
I remember seeing pictures.
2020. Yeah,
Oh,
and it
was
was
it?
their second. Yeah, it was from the pages too. It was the second show that they did from an issue, I think.
Yeah.
And I had very different work in that issue. It
Really?
was more, yeah,
Was
yeah.
oh wow.
So it was like figurative. It was about my it was more narrative. There was more of like a landscape kind of in it, but it had figurative. It had
Yeah.
and it was about my kind of my fertility
Yeah.
journey at the time. And I remember I had to make a piece for the show, and I heard, see, here it gets even more connected. I was
Oh my.
listening to one of Kat's podcasts
Okay.
episodes. At the time it was Arts and Cocktails, but now it's the Create
Yes.
podcast.
Great. Bye.
Okay, and she, at the very right moment, I heard this episode where she talked about changing it up in your art and like
Okay.
kind of just going for it, because I think that's what she was doing in her practice.
Yes.
And I remember thinking like, I was like, I kind of want to try something different, but do I have to do something that was like what was in the issue? Is that what
Yeah.
people are going to expect from me? And there was that
Yeah.
whole internal
Yeah.
struggle of, and then when I heard Kat's episode, I was like, I'm just going to go
Go.
for it.
Oh my goodness.
And that was my first hidden mother, because that was what I wanted to explore.
Oh my. I
And
remember seeing it like I had I think maybe I don't remember, but I remember you sharing the very first of your hidden mothers, and I was following you by that time. I don't know what year that was, but I don't I mean I surely remember that I've seen your first two now.
yeah, well, it hasn't been that long, Charuka.
Oh, it
I think
God.
it was 20, it was the beginning of 2020.
Oh my God.
January of 2020 is when that show was, I believe.
Really? But
Yeah.
that can't no, that can't be possible because by
No, I
2020
know. It's crazy.
no, because 2020 everything was shut. 2000
No, I'm telling you,
oh
it was January was the Create show at Paradigm, and then the following
yes.
month, or maybe it was March. It was like beginning
Yeah.
of March. Paradigm had their 10th anniversary show.
Yeah.
And they also, so my second hidden mother was in that show. And
Yeah.
then that was the last time that I was at an opening, and then everything
Mm.
shut down.
Shut down. Yes, you're right. You're right. Oh
So
my
it's
God.
crazy because I really haven't been doing it for that long.
Yeah, but it does feel like I mean, you're so good at it, and it's also become such a big, I mean, of course, we all as artists are evolving and our work keeps evolving. And of course, our work is a big extension of who you are. But for right now, I feel like your hidden mothers have become such a signature of who you are also. Like it's I do feel as a viewer, it's become a very defining moment for you. I don't know if you feel that way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, without a doubt, for me.
Did
Yeah.
you think while you were making these works, did you think they were like they've become something that they've become today? They got so much love. I feel like with every work that you do, um, it just I feel like you're just pushing one boundary at a time, and then it just keeps getting better and more finer. And like, did you think that this series will become what it is today, or
I had no clue.
you were
Even,
just
and I'll tell you that I for that first show I was just so excited exploring it, and it was just making me so happy to, so I didn't think about it. And
yeah.
then um when it sold out, it was pretty shocking to me.
That
and
was.
and
And
then I
this was also online. I remember this wasn't even
yeah, so
the show you sold out wasn't in person.
yeah, I mean it,
Oh
it
my,
was hung in the gallery,
yeah,
but
you were there.
but
Yeah,
so the space, but no one.
it wasn't
Yeah,
there. See,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
went in. I know
that's
it's
even such
crazy.
a
I
big
actually,
deal.
yeah, I think
It is. It is.
um I know it's pretty crazy
Well,
when I
and
think about it.
so, okay, one more question. So, before the Create show, I know Paradigm has been such a big supporter of your work. You've worked with them, you're continually working with them, you did your solo shows. Now, a question comes to my mind. Now that you've mentioned that they were during the issue for Create, does that mean you did not, like, had you shown your work with them before? Were you familiar with them? Did you, or was it via Create that you actually became acquainted?
That's a really good question. So it wasn't how we became acquainted. I actually had been invited to. I was in a show with them, but that was through um, on Instagram somehow. Because they were like, I had my eye on them as a gallery. I was like waiting until I felt ready and confident to
Yeah,
approach them. And Jason Chen, who is one of the owners, I think
yeah.
he's the one that started following me on Instagram.
Hmm.
And they Paradigm has done this show, a bi-coastal show with a gallery in Portland.
Okay.
And so the idea of the show is that they do, each artist that they invite would do a piece for Paradigm and a piece for, it was
Oh,
Antler Gallery in Portland, and those shows would be up at the same time, and they would be related to each other. And
wow.
um, I know that uh, Paradigm, it's kind of part of their mission also to support uh, Philadelphia area artists.
Yeah.
So I'm I'm assuming that that is part of the reason why I was invited to be in that show. But
Okay.
I was doing something very different at that time,
Oh, but
and
they
so
had
I
their
was
idea.
in that. What? I don't know, maybe.
Let's put it that way.
Um, but I did that show with them, but then it was a couple of years before
Okay.
the Create. So um, so yes, the Create show is definitely what put me on their radar even more, I think, because
Yeah. And from
it kind
there,
of like,
yeah. From there, did all of those things that you've been doing them with them, can we say that that's how it all happened? Because you showed your first hidden mother with
yeah.
them. Ideally, Paradigm was the first place you showed your actual piece, and then you've shown all your hidden mothers with them.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Um, yeah, because I had the first one at the Create magazine show, and that sold to my
Wow.
lovely Emily, who, she was sneaky. I didn't know she bought it.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, I mean, I found out after the fact, but I heard it sold, but I didn't know it was her. Um, And then it just happened to be in their 10th anniversary show because they invited all the artists who had ever shown there to make a piece for it. And that just happened to be a couple months after the Create show. And I made my second Hidden Mother for that, and that one sold.
Oh, wow.
So that was, it was after that I was invited to be in a show with, this one wasn't a solo show. This was like a featured
Kelly.
collection show with Kelly Cosma and
Yeah.
Han Kao. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And then you did your solo show. That sold online.
Yeah.
I think it was not only, I don't think it was even a few hours, was it?
I don't think so. I don't know. It was a few hours.
Oh my God. How did that feel?
Like it's surreal. It still feels surreal. Oh, look at your doggy. So cute. Sorry.
It's 7 a.m. in the morning and she's been here and there and she's like,
Oh,
just sleep.
I love her.
She's my piece of heart. Okay, so let's talk about what happened further. Once you did your Hidden Mothers, I know that a lot of people that inspired you, a lot of mothers that inspired you, eventually became a part of the series. I know
Yes.
Carmen was a part of it. I
Yeah.
also know Daniel, the jealous curator, was a
Yeah.
part of it. And a lot of people, I can't remember more, but I know a few more were a part of it. How has that interaction with people that you know and you've been including um, in the series, how has that been?
That was a really special experience. It was like a gift that they gave me, and I felt, very like I had to handle it very,
Oh my God.
very carefully.
Yeah.
Respectfully. It was so important for me to be authentic to their story,
Yeah.
and I
Because
really
your
tried to make
beginning
sure.
because your beginning pieces, I remember, were just you. They had you in it. And then you
Yeah,
only had more people being a part of the Hidden Mother series.
yeah. And I feel like whenever I'm exploring a new direction, well, I say I'm starting to see this as a pattern in my practice, because I don't even, like I've said before, the Hidden Mother series is like the first time I've actually really had a series.
Yeah. But
So
this is even better because if you, let's say, even if this was your first proper series, but I wouldn't even say it like that because I feel like a lot of times we underestimate ourselves. I think
yeah,
this would be your first series that has got so much attention, and it
right.
does feel like that way. But I'm sure even if we look back in the time that a lot of work that's not gotten so many eyes, but it's just, I think, our subconscious mind that makes the more visible feel like more real.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. But I definitely haven't had as many
Yeah.
pieces, and I've had ideas for series, but I would always find that after doing the third one, I was just like, oh, I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
But this one, I didn't feel that way. I think it's because with this subject, I can take it in so many different directions.
Yeah.
Even that was the cool thing about having the other mothers collaborate with me and let me tell their stories, because each painting was so different.
Yeah. They were gorgeous, I feel like. And they were the part of your solo show, right?
Yeah, my last one.
Yeah.
Well, oh
And you
yeah,
have
that was the
another
solo show.
one. And you have another coming one.
Yes, but since I have a I just had a baby not long ago.
Yeah.
I was smart. I made it. It's going to be in a year from now,
Oh wow.
which is
You were
really cool
smart.
because I'm like I have the time. I don't have it. It's not a ton of time for what I want to do, but um, I do have a little more time to do that kind of that exploration
Yeah.
part that I love. You know, when you're
Yeah.
starting something new, and also I'm getting to consider this use of the space of the gallery,
Oh wow.
which is very exciting.
Amazing.
So
And how has your own experience? I know now that you've become a mother for the second time.
yeah.
How has do you feel like is that affecting your work now? Like your experience or
Oh yeah, for sure. The reason that I even went into the Hidden Mother series is because my role as a mother and how I felt around it. And my daughter Mia has always been a huge inspiration for me. Um, and she's just kind of like um, my little sidekick. I call her my mini muse all the time. Uh, she's been there for so much of it. Even the I so I take a lot of my own reference photos,
yeah.
and she's helped me. She's helped me with a lot of them. But I remember because her bedroom. I finally have a door on my studio, but I didn't have a door
Really?
for a long time. Yeah, and
Wow.
so her bedroom was um, kind of like she could see into my studio from her bedroom,
She
and
was eyeing you all the time.
she would tell me like, "Mommy, don't," because I would basically look like a ghost at the end of the hall. I'd be throwing sheets over me to take photos with a tripod and all that, and she'd be like, "Mommy, don't. Can you not stand there?" I'm like, "Oh, sorry," but
Oh
it's
my god, I can
but it's
completely think of the situation.
I also do a lot of photos outside, out front of my house, and
And
because the day, I want to get that good daylight lighting for them, and I always think of like cars driving by. What are they
what
thinking?
they mean? Oh, they feel like, oh, and I'm sure a lot of time people would have like anyone who's just woken up from a sleep or like come from a nap or just going off for like in that state of mind, and then they come out of the window and they see like someone covered with a cloth and walking ghost.
Yeah.
Oh my, what fun! I should be a neighbor.
Yeah, right. It would be fun.
Yes.
Just look at my windows. You should have seen
Yeah.
me today. Oh my.
Really? What did you do today?
um well, my daughter was in school. I don't want to give anything away because it's
Yeah.
going to be a painting
Yeah.
for my new show, but let's
Yeah.
just say I may have been in underwear and dish gloves.
Now I'm even more excited to see the painting. And then
Yeah,
you'll have
and
to
then
come back. Then you'll have to come back and then give us the whole thing.
absolutely, sure. But yeah, back to the kids being an influence. So Mia actually will take full credit for my Hidden Mother series. She actually does. She says, "Well, it's that they're all about me."
Really?
Yeah, because she knows that I tell her, I'm like, "You're the reason that I make the art that I do because you made me a
Oh,
mother."
oh wow.
Yeah. So
So does she like click these pictures with you and then like how involved is she in this process with you now?
um, she actually will brainstorm ideas with me, and like
Wow.
sometimes they're really awesome actually, and I love her artwork so much. So I actually am working on and I actually put in one of my in my painting that's the Hidden Muse Mother, which was from my first Hidden Mothers collection. I actually I'm wearing a paint splattered piece of
Yeah.
fabric, and then I'm sitting in front of a chalkboard wall, and there's
Yeah.
kind of like scribblings of chalk marks. So I actually recreated her very first markings. I have a chalkboard wall in my studio
Oh
that I
wow.
always let her just draw on, and her very first markings I took a photo of, and that's what I recreated in the background of that painting. And I'm actually working on a painting for this next series that actually I'm going to be incorporating some of her drawings in again.
Oh wow. I
So
How does she feel about that?
she loves it.
She's
Yeah.
already an artist now then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Such a young um I'm sure it must be um so opening for her as a child also to be taken seriously. I think a lot of
Mm,
us struggle with this even now, and I think that's one of the very common issues with us as artists, because we've struggled so much about being taken seriously. And I think
yeah.
when when from the inception of your creative side and while growing up, the way that you're saying that your relationship with your daughter, I feel like it is such an incredible support system. And it's it just it I'm sure she gives wings to you, but I'm sure it's also the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
now that you have a son, how has that been going?
Well, Samuel is a little dream baby. I feel guilty even saying it, but I don't know how I got one of those, but I did. Um, he's super chill, and um, yeah, so I was able to get back into the studio so much
When did
sooner.
you get back after having Sam?
I think when he was 3 months old, but um, which you know, most mothers will know understand that that may seem like a long amount of time, but it's really not.
It's
And when I
I
say I
can't
got back, yeah, when I say I got back to the studio, I mean like I actually started showing up for my
trust.
normal like practice, which is my studio practice happens at night. I don't get anything done during the
Done.
day.
Really?
I try to sneak things in, um, but it doesn't really happen. I need
So
that.
little
I need to
Sam is
be able. Yeah, I need
yeah,
to be able to kind of sit and know that I'm not going to get interrupted.
yeah,
So
yeah. So little Sam is a sleeper.
yeah, he's a good sleeper. Well, the thing is that I mean I'm still getting up a couple times a night to feed
Yeah.
him, but he it's all about how he just goes back down to sleep very well. You just put
Keeping your
him down
fingers
and he goes.
crossed.
I
Keeping
know.
your fingers crossed. I remember when,
Yes.
so in the past 1.5 year, 2 years actually, or maybe whatever. So we've had two children in the house, and it's for the first time that I've literally seen children growing up, because I was the youngest in my family, and then another generation that's just my sister had babies, but of course they were growing up apart. Now that um, I see my niece and my nephew every day growing up. My niece is already one, and my nephew is 4 months. So around the same time that Sam happened, and I feel like one
Oh,
thing, I'm not even a mother, and I'm way more, like, way less responsible for anything. And I feel like I still feel like I've lost time. I don't know sense of time anymore,
Yeah.
because I feel like whenever I'm home, there's hardly I can get anything done, because either of them are, children just want so much of attention, and they're constantly there. I don't even imagine how you as mother are doing such amazing work, um, and nurturing your children and showing up for yourself as well.
Well, hopefully I am doing all those things.
You are. If it wasn't for that, I'm sure your daughter wouldn't have felt the
I will
same.
tell you. I'll tell you how I do it, Charuka. My house is not I I have probably two laundry baskets of clothes that need to be folded sitting in my living room for days.
That's still
Um,
better.
yeah, I mean, like seriously, like I have to get one of those prints that I've seen that has like the order. They say art first, then the dishes, then
Yeah.
laundry, or something like that. That's the way I live my life. So it's funny because I was actually just FaceTiming with Emily earlier, and I was like, okay, well, I have to put Sam down for a nap, and then I'm going to work on, you know, comping up some ideas for some paintings. I was like, as you do when you have like when you're a stay at home mom, right? So that's where my priorities are.
And that's important. That really is important, because that's how you get things. And I think, of course, uh, you get something, you need to let go of something. That's that you
Yeah.
cannot fully control everything. But I think, okay, my second last question, I promise.
No,
which
please.
is
This is fine.
which is ho- apart from, of course, the physical time, I think what's really really hard, and I'm saying this because I'm experiencing this myself, because I'm not even a mother. But I feel like having children in the house take up so much mental space. Like I can
Mm,
literally, I feel like, of course, a lot other things have been such a big part of my life for the previous years, and but
yeah.
even then, I feel like they take so much of your mental space that it's very hard to connect with yourself. Then, how did you feel that way? How do you deal with that? I mean, how
Mm,
do you
yeah.
fully delve into your work when you know you have these children running outside, like they're living outside your body, and you need to take care of them, and they're constantly like they need their mother always.
um, well, quite simply, um, they need their mother, and for their mother to be a present mother, I need to have my art in my life. And it's like, and I always make the comparison to the how they always say the flight attendants say on a flight, put your own oxygen mask on first and then help put your child's on, right? Because you're of no use to anybody if you're struggling for air. um that's kind of like what my art is. um and I truly am, like, when I have an active art life, and I'm happy with what I'm working on, and I have a good flow going, I am a better mother. I can see it. I can tell. um so that's how it happens, because it's what it all works as a system together,
Yeah, yeah, I can completely like, that's really true. And how do you think, like, okay, this is a question which you I mean, do you think you need to create boundaries, or while, like, as a mother and as an artist, so that they don't overtake each other? um, and do you practice, or in what way do you practice, so that you're fully there as a mother, and then when you're back in the studio, you're there as an artist?
um no, I would say that um, when I like during the day, obviously that's when it's most of the children time. I always have um, one foot in the art. What would you say? Yeah, like it's there, and if it's not actively working on something, then it's the wheels are turning. I have like the two wheels turning. The one is like, my family and my responsibilities with my family. The other wheel is my art. And one's always they're both always turning, but maybe like one's kind of like on, turning a little faster when I'm even depending on what I'm focusing on. So I guess that's the best way I can describe it.
You are incredible. I don't even know how you do this, but you just do it so good.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, my last question before we go into my favorite part, which is the rapid fire,
Hmm.
and which is, let's say, if the world ends today
Okay.
and there's nothing attached to what you do, no show, nothing. I mean, no extra incentive, nothing, no purpose. Why would you still choose to do the work that you're doing today? What is that one reason that
Mm.
pushes you out of bed to make you do the work that you do?
I actually think about this a lot. Um, I actually have the thought in my head all the time, if I were stranded on an island, like would I make art? I
Yeah.
mean, obviously I would have to spend a lot of time figuring out how to survive, but I I would still find ways to make art. And uh I guess yeah, it's like a for me, I don't know, making art, this might sound corny or contrived, but I like it's like one of my my lifelines.
Yeah, I can
So
understand.
I you probably understand that, right? So it kind of goes with breathing and eating
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Making something, I think uh, a lot of us have this compulsive desire. At least for me, I know, even if it's not painting or anything, I need to continuously create something, even if it's
mm,
out of trash, even if it's
yes,
just the desire that my hands are working on something.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
Lovely. Oh my God, Sarah, I'm so glad we had this conversation.
Oh, me too. It went by so fast. We'll
Yeah, and
have
I
to
had
do
so much
more.
fun. It is my pleasure and my honor. I can and there's no saying that I'm going to have you back again soon. And
Okay, good.
before, I don't know when is that, but I'm sure we'll know when is that happening.
I don't know, but oh, the show uh September of 2022. So in
Perfect.
a year from now.
Hopefully before soon. I wish that so many more magical things happen so that I can pull you back here again. Now let's go. Are you ready? Because this is my most favorite part.
Yeah, I know this part. Now, I'm a very wordy person. I will do my best to be rapid
I'm,
in my
we'll,
responses.
we'll figure it out. So, are you
Okay.
ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. One thing that you want to convey through your work in the arts.
Uh human connection.
What's that one word that describes you the best?
Open.
If you could have a studio anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Uh honestly, wherever my home is.
Oh,
I'm a
you are a
I'm
home
I'm
studio
a
person.
I'm a home studio person. It works so well for me. So wherever I like right now, I have my dream studio because it's in my home.
Oh my God. You
Oh,
are
and by the
just,
way, congratulations to you on your new studio.
thank you. Thank you. It
I'm very
it
excited
just
for you.
feels forever. Yeah, it's day 3. It was yesterday was day 3. So I'm going on for a small. So my niece's birthday today. So we're going for a little getaway, and I feel like, oh my god, I'll have to miss two
Oh, you have to
days.
leave. Oh, it's gonna be
Yeah,
nice to come back. Well, please
yeah,
post a lot of videos and photos so we can see the space as it comes together.
done. Oh my god, I can't wait to do that. Okay, your biggest source of inspiration. I know the answer now. I think.
My kids or motherhood,
Yeah,
I'd say.
yeah,
More the motherhood because it's the role of motherhood. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, who is your favorite women artist from any point of time?
So my deceased artist is probably I don't know. I haven't listened to every single one of your episodes, but I'm sure you've gotten this one a lot. Is my girl Frida Kahlo.
Yeah, a lot.
And I mean, I can't like I I I can't think of anybody else who
Yeah,
had I'm just admire her so much how she
yeah,
painted her reality and her pain and suffering, but and unapologetically.
yeah.
I mean,
And I
she's
think,
been such a source of inspiration.
and I think why she's so popular, especially amongst women and artists like us, it's because I think it's the story of all of us. We all like it's not only Frida. We all feel that every day of our lives, and it feels like
Hmm.
it's been for centuries, and like we all still relate to those experiences as a woman.
Yes.
And that's
I
amazing.
I have to tell you that oh well this is not rapid. I was about to tell you a story.
Go ahead.
um,
No, no, go ahead. We don't want to miss the story.
I had a very profoundly uh um spiritual moment. I was in Detroit at the DIA, the Detroit Institute of Art, where Diego Rivera has this
Yeah,
very famous mural that he did, and um, I stood there looking at it, and it was the also the time that Frida painted one of her my very favorite paintings of hers about her miscarriage,
yeah,
and it was there in Detroit that she had it, and I was actually going through a miscarriage
yeah.
myself at the time, and it was
Yeah.
just like this yeah, it was pretty profound and moving.
Oh my
So
God.
she's yeah, she's amazing.
I think this is something that now, because it's not so rapid, let me also share something. you know, so I grew up in India, and in India we did not we never had this culture of art, buying art, or like especially living artists, or like it was if you're buying art, it was very aristocratic, like only
Mm,
people on the
yeah.
higher end would do that, or otherwise it was very religious, so very
Mm,
mass produced. We would have like these calendars with the gods and the religion they published and everything. So we never really had like this culture of buying art. I and we, of course, we grew up very modestly, so of course we were not in the place at that point to even think about buying art, something like that. Then of course I was the creative. My parents, of course, were always very. My mom was, I think, if I have anything in me which is creative, it is because of her. And
mm,
even when you were saying, the way you mentioned your relationship with your daughter in terms of making, I remember I was very young. I think probably I was 6, 7, whatever. And my mom would go to, like, she did this fashion course, and she does brilliant drawings. I always encouraged her to do more, but she never got the courage back to get into it. And I remember all night she would work, because during the day we were three children, so she would take care of us. And at night, she used to have college in the morning. She would go like a couple of hours in the morning. But throughout the night, she would do her fashion illustrations, and
yeah.
like embroidering, and then embellishing, and I have literally picked my love for embellishment and the textiles and everything because of her, because I have
Oh, that's beautiful.
she's literally taken me to every thrift shop, every material shop, everywhere, because I would be alongside her. So my point was, I now I've forgotten what I was sharing.
That's okay, because we were talking about something beautiful. So I don't even care what your point was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Art. So yeah. So that was the kind of art that actually I grew up with, and I always this is a question that's very very important to me, because I feel like when you don't believe in anything that I do, I need to have such a strong conviction in it. Only then I know I'll get through the other end of it. And I keep asking myself this question because I did not grow up with art. I never spent that money. I never saw anyone do that. And I would always ask myself this question: why would someone buy my art? Why would someone buy my art?
Mm.
Because for me, it was just only something that I make and then I put it back. You make art and then you put it back. You don't sell it. Why would someone buy it? And because that's how it happened for me. I never saw someone buy. I never bought one. And then eventually, so I started buying a few, I think, in the past last 2 years or so. Also, because the traditional definition of what art buying is, of I love collecting things, but things, I never collected art. During the pandemic was when I got my answer, and that's what you
Mm,
like the thing that you said. I saw these pieces hung, and they were not even really hung because I did not have space enough, and they were just there. And one of my own pieces, I'm not even saying anyone else's right now, that's just in my room, and I was having such a hard time. I would every day come back and I would just look at that, and it just I felt like it spoke to me. I felt like it
mm.
was reminding me of something. If there was a good picture, if there was, I remember this work. I don't know if you remember, if you know Julia, Emily's really nice friend. She does these acoustic
Oh,
floating kind of
Juliana,
art.
yeah,
Yeah, I love her. I can't wait to have her.
yeah.
She's also coming on the podcast. So we did.
Oh,
I did my
you
first.
guys would have a good show together.
Yeah, and we did our first artist swap. So I did my first artist swap with her.
Oh, I love that. It's my favorite.
Yeah, and then I had her work, and every time I would just come to the studio, and I would just, that day I realized that how subconsciously, I mean, how much a difference. I don't think if those works were there, they wouldn't really uplift me, because I had no other reason to feel uplifted. But every time I would
Mm,
come back and see something, I felt like I was taken away. I felt belonged, because it was even hard to feel belonged, or I felt understood, or I felt there was an escape into something. But that time I felt like if I did not have these like this art near me, how
mm.
incredibly hard would that be? And
Yeah,
that's like, and I'm sharing this because the ways that you said that, it gives you so much of belongingness. You were going through the same experience, and
yeah,
another artist at years, eons, like so many years ago, had a very
yeah.
similar experience, and she made something about it, and you, after so many years, are still like, you feel belonged because of something like that. How
Absolutely,
beautiful
yeah.
is that, isn't it?
It is. It is beautiful. Yeah.
Who is your go-to person when you're in trouble or need of advice?
Um, for life things, my mom for sure.
Oh, wow.
Um, and and also my twin sister, depending on the thing. um, and then for art, I'm just like I'm very fortunate to have a lot of resources in that area.
Yeah,
I guess I over the years created that for myself,
yeah,
having that group of support. So Emily Mullet is
yeah,
definitely like
yes,
I
yeah.
call her a machine. She's a machine. She's just like it's very inspiring
So
to talk to her.
she's very
Um,
inspiring.
yeah, and then I have my art night group. I have a Zoom
Yeah,
art night group that I meet with a couple nights a week, and there we have like a you know not just those meetings, but we have a group chat that you know has been really amazing because you can reach out in the middle of your crisis in the middle of the day. And my husband too, he, whether he likes it or not, he's my immediate sounding board for many things. So,
Okay,
yeah.
that is amazing. And since we are not on a rapid fire, I want to take this another chance and really talk about the art night group. Can you talk about the art night group? Because I think it is such an amazing concept. How did it start and what are you guys doing?
Yeah. Yeah, and, I feel like any interview I've done, I've always brought it up because it has been such a big influence. So, um, back in October of 2018 or 2019, I forget which year, I was accepted into, it was an all women's art fair, and Danielle Crisso was the curator for it.
Oh, wow.
And it was through Jen Tuff Gallery. She was the one hosting it. It was in San Francisco. And I applied, like, just like, oh, this is such a long shot. And then all of a sudden I found out I was accepted and had to figure out, I was like, oh, I got to go to San Francisco. um, so there I met, like, the most amazing group of women. And I'd say, so what happened was when I came back and I kept in touch with many of them, Danny Vinokurov, do you know her?
Yeah, I follow her.
Yeah. Okay. She's amazing. So she was actually, I think, the connector. So she was actually part of some Thrive groups. Do you know
Yeah,
Thrive?
yeah, I
Thrive
know.
Mastermind.
They were
So
quite a thing at some point.
yeah. Um, so she was in those groups, and she liked the format of having a group of women that you spoke to, and she kind of started her own, I guess. It just became like a night, hey, you want to get on Zoom and make art together and hang out. And I was a little hesitant at first because I was like, oh, does that vibe with my, like, my studio style, like how I work and stuff? Because but and then I went along and did it, and I got hooked, and it turned from one night into two nights. And I think there's been different people coming in and out,
Wow.
but I think there's about a solid 10 of us now, I'd say.
Wow.
And we meet on Zoom, and from all over. A couple of us are from the East Coast of the States, and there's a few people from the West Coast, and then a lot of Canadians.
Wow.
I love my Canadians. So yeah, so a few of them are from that ladies' room event, and we've just kind of added here and there. Like Carmen is
Yeah.
I brought her in on that group. So yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow.
awesome.
And how often
And
do you guys meet?
um, 2 nights a week.
And you've been doing that religiously since then.
Uh, I mean, like we all go through periods where
Yeah,
there's some,
absolutely.
you know what I mean? So there will be some
Yeah,
times
yeah.
we show up and there's only a couple people, but
Yeah, yeah.
um
But
yeah,
it's still
but yeah.
hanging. I mean, it's still going on every
Oh
2 weeks.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, it's
Oh,
still going
wow.
strong.
Oh, wow. And I remember you doing such a fantastic, the email, well, I don't remember what that was called, but there was, all of you came together and you did this one piece each person thing. Remember?
The circle, like our circle collection where
Yeah,
we
yeah,
decided to
yeah.
release a
Oh my God,
collection
that
together,
was
yeah.
so fantastic.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was fun. That was cool.
It's so
Yeah.
nice to see. I think this is, and I think because for me, I never had that kind of immediate support system and community, and that is why, like, I literally had to push myself that I need to find something that really makes me feel belong or connected to. And I do know, like, in the past 2 years that I've found so many of you that I've truly feel so connected to. It's made
Yeah.
so much of difference. And I'm sure like this kind of a relationship that you're talking about, that must have had like it must have added so much value in your life and your practice.
Absolutely. I don't know how I would have gotten through the pandemic
Yeah.
without that, you know? And I also feel like, um, yeah, even the connections that we've been able to make for the past couple years, all through people that we've never met in person, is
Yeah.
phenomenal. Like, through the art queens is,
Yeah.
how I met you. And then, um, I mean, Carmen, who I now consider one of my closest
Right.
friends, that all started just on like, I I was actually going to ask her the other day, like, how did I know it was through Instagram, like we messaged each other, but how we just connected, you know?
Yeah. And she's amazing. She's such
Yeah.
a nice person. Such an
Oh my
amazing
goodness. Yeah.
person. Yeah. I'm so grateful for, I think, technology has given us so much. Otherwise, I don't feel like I'm just sitting literally in one corner of the world and you guys are in another corner of the world. And
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like it, I, oh my, I can't even imagine if I wouldn't have met you guys because it means so much to me.
Yeah, same.
Yes. Okay, back to rapid fire.
The most unrapid fire.
Fire. this the slow
The slow.
fire.
Why don't we call this? Should we rename this the slow burn?
Is there even a burn right now? The slow. This
The
is the twist to this
slow
episode.
burn with Sarah Detweiler.
This is the new twist to this episode. Welcome to another new, specially catered for Sarah Detweiler, and I'm going with the flow. Oh my god,
Oh,
this is so fun. Okay, my next question. Now, and you now, since we are taking over liberties, take your time.
thank you.
If you were to meet younger Sarah today, what advice would you give her?
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I did a whole postcard series called
Yes.
A 20-Day Conversation with Your 20-Year-Old Self. I don't know if you knew that. I did that
No, no,
like a
no.
while back.
No, no, I do know about this one.
Yeah, that was um a few years back now.
Okay.
Because based on a conversation like this, where my friend said, what would you tell or I
Yeah.
actually asked my friends, what would you tell your 20-year-old self? I'm now 42, so we're going back a little bit.
You still look
But
16.
uh,
I mean it.
um and what it started with my friend's response, which now I'm forgetting, which was like the first one that I did. But I did these illustrations um, based on, and they were like basically portraits where the voice bubble was like had a profile, had a face, and it was talking to
Oh, wow.
yourself basically. And I just really delved into it and thought about all the things I would say. So it's interesting because before, when we were talking about the rebellion through art,
Yeah.
that that would be a big thing. I would tell.
Does it even like it's not a linear curve, right?
Yeah,
It's not even, I mean, it's not a linear thing. It is, I think it keeps coming, going back. You rediscover yourself and then you fall back into
yeah,
the trap and then you rediscover yourself and then fall back into your trap.
yeah.
Love that. Okay. Shout out to an artist or many that are currently on your heart list, slash that you're loving.
I mean, I've already talked about a couple of them. Carmen Mardones.
Yes.
She's killing it right now. I'm so happy. All the attention she's getting for her art, which is so deserved,
Mm,
and
mm,
she just keeps like building her body of work. Is just getting more and more exciting to me. And I
mm.
actually have one of her pillow pieces,
Yeah,
which is.
let's take this moment and really appreciate where she's going. I so agree with you because I've been blown away by those cultural pillow pieces.
Oh, love them. I
So
told her
like,
I need to have one.
I'm such a spammer, and I like every so Carmen and I keep like spam. I spam her more than she really
I
is. And I'm like,
don't
she'll
think
post this, and I'll
it's not
comment like,
spam when it's coming from you.
and I do that with so many of you. And like, oh my god, I want this. And like, why are you doing this? I feel like, and I keep one thing that I keep messaging her every time is every time she posts one, I'm like, you know what? This makes me fall in love with your work even more today. This makes me fall in
Yeah,
love with your work even. And it's just gotten. I've seen her like from this, like I remember when we started speaking, she was very like shy and she was close, and I've seen her like opening up so beautifully in the work that she's
yeah.
making right now. I feel like it's just outstanding. It's completely
Yeah,
outstanding.
yeah. She's fantastic. Um, I love everything about her. Uh, Definitely a shout out to Emily Mullet again.
Yes.
Um, and I Crystal Latimer. Do you know her work?
Oh, I have been following up with her for so long to be on the
Um,
podcast. I can't. I'm obsessed with her work. Really
I'm
obsessed.
obsessed too. She so another connection to that Create magazine show. She was in that issue,
Oh,
and our pieces hung next to each other.
oh my
And I
God.
like I she was like her piece was like my favorite in the show. And then we kind of stayed connected. She's also in Pennsylvania, but she's in Pittsburgh. I'm on the, she's more on the west
Mm.
side. I'm on
Yeah.
the east. But she also was in a featured collection show and sold out.
Oh,
And
yeah. I remember that.
yeah, and she's going to have a solo show with Paradigm in October,
Oh
this October,
my.
next month.
Oh my
And I just like, when you see somebody's art and you
God.
like actually grown. I'm like, oh,
I feel
every
you
time
on
I
that.
see it,
I feel
I
you on
can't
that.
take it. I'm like, it's like feelings of like, I just can't, I'm obsessed. I can't get enough. I need to have it. I wish that I had made it. Like, oh,
Yeah. With you, so much with you on that. I
yeah,
so feel the same for her. I remember like she did a keepsakes one that absolutely was
yeah,
so stunning. And then before that also she did one of the series that was so, I can't remember the title for that one, but ever since, I think that's when I found her. And we've spoken quite a bit in between, and like I feel like now that we're also talking about this, and I love these, I love this rapid fire. It gives us so much more than the actual conversation in such a short time. This is something that Kristen and I even spoke about, because she was like, I really like your work, and I was like, I absolutely like, I'm obsessed with your work. And we have this very in terms of the way that we approach our work, there's a little
hmm
similarity, like the
yeah,
texture and that, the
like the
embellishment.
ornamental kind of, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And she was like, I feel like we have such a similar ground. And that's what I feel like even now, even with you, I feel like we all somehow for see each other. um I mean, with Carmen also, I feel like, especially as a woman, and then how she's used her, I think something as simple as thread. I mean,
yeah,
as simple as thread and just pillows. She's created something that's so amazing. And that's with
yeah.
Crystal, you. I feel like it is so inspiring, so inspiring.
Yeah, well, you're inspiring too. So we got to do a trade, you and I.
Oh, are you? This is my dream come true. I'm so, I can't wait to have. Oh my god, that will be so.
We will. I promise you, we will do a trade. I just have to have the actual work um
Just let me
to.
know when you are done and I'll be there for you.
Okay.
Amazing. Okay, my last question to this not so rapid slow burn. Okay, one last question, which is as an artist, a mother, a woman, there's so many people. I think we all play so many roles in between. Uh, that we play so many roles in between. And what is that one or two advice that you would want to give to people, to women, especially artists who are coming behind you?
I feel like it's probably the mantra that I'm telling myself right now. Um, is trust your gut. Uh, and you have to keep calling upon that because I mean, you know, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know about every artist, but I still every time I approach a new show, I'm like, what if nobody likes it? You know?
So real. Yes. Yes.
And I'm actually with this next show, I'm exploring a slightly new direction.
Yeah.
Um and I was scared. I was like, am I like I had to give myself permission and trust my gut and um a friend of mine, Ash Woodworth from my art night, she was
Yeah.
uh you know her work. Um
Yeah.
she said a great thing. She's like, you your gut is what told you is what got you these,
Yeah.
your success to this point.
Yeah.
So why don't you just go with that? And so,
So well put together.
yeah.
Trust your gut. That's that's so obvious but so forgotten.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard to do.
Where, oh God, so hard. I think we trust ourselves so less and we trust more people, like other people apart from our own self, so much more. If we trust
Yeah.
ourselves more, how, I mean, again, saying it's easier said than done, and I would, of course, I don't practice this myself completely, but but every time I'm sure you would also vouch for this, that every time we've trusted our own guts more than what people believe, it's always worked better.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Sarah, I knew, I had a feeling that this episode will touch 2 hours, and we're dot 1 hour 30 minutes now. So we are quite close to what I thought. I really thought that this
I
wouldn't be
know.
enough.
I was like, let's just make it a 2-hour episode.
Oh my God,
we're,
this is
we're about the length of a feature film right now, right?
absolutely, yeah. So this is like the Arts to Hearts feature film on Sarah Detweiler.
Let's make a
The
trailer.
slow burn. The slow burn.
The slow in the introduction of the very first slow burn.
This is the launch of the slow burn. And you've aced it.
Thank you. I'm very good at using way
Oh
too
my
many
God.
words to make a simple point.
You definitely, but you definitely made a lot of very good points. So
Okay.
give it.
I hope
You
so.
give it. We've given that to you. Oh my God. I feel like we could do another few hours for sure, but I don't.
Yeah.
I know little Sam and little girl, both of them are waiting for you. I don't want to take much of your time, which I've already taken. But I have one more last question.
Yeah, of
I
course.
know one part of it, that you have an upcoming show which is happening in 2022.
Yeah.
2022. I have also forgotten what year we are running in now. 20, 2022 October. But we will definitely be doing so much more in between that. But do you have anything else that you want to share? Any project, anything, and where people can find you, support you, or just use this space to share anything that you want about your work?
uh yeah, I do have a couple things. So, I sold out my last 2 shows, which is a great problem to have, but it also means, and then I had a baby like right after. So, I don't have a whole lot of work available right now to I kind of have to put all my energy towards my show. So I'm not, to submit to things or do some other shows. It would be nice if I could do that. But the nice thing is that I am able to do some of these virtual shows that are popping up. So I don't know if do you know Roaring Artist Gallery? So Roaring Artist Gallery is it's going to be a virtual show.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I'm looking up really quick to see when I'm actually going to be in it with Carmen and Robin Kenny, if you know her, Nora Howell, Lauren Dawson. Who am I forgetting? But the founder is Katie Bradford Osborne, and that's roaringartistgallery.com. So she's curated a virtual show, and it opens November 15th, I think. And I was able to put some Hidden Mother pieces in it because it didn't need to be available, which is nice. But I am actually going to be releasing some prints, some large prints of some of the Hidden Mothers. Through Paradigm, and that will be probably the beginning of November. And other than that, my big thing was this interview with you. So,
oh my god, oh my god, that's become a highlight for me now. I'm finally, after months of pulling you here, I've made this possible. Such a victory for me. In between you've had a baby. Absolutely. You've had a baby. You've sold out 2 shows. Oh my god, there's so much that's already happened.
Yeah, it has been a big year.
Yeah, and I will link the show that you mentioned and all other things. So anyone who's listening to this episode, you believe me, you don't want to miss out buying Sarah's prints, which who knows you will be able to get your hands on or not, because Sarah has a history of selling things out even before they're there. Then of course
there's a lot of pressure for that though.
So yeah, go. Don't forget to sign up for that. I will link Sarah's website, the upcoming shows and everything else. So make sure you go and check out the show notes on www.arts2heartsproject.com. You go and click on podcast and you'll see Sarah's photo and this episode. And if you go, and you'll find all the details there. Okay, I can't believe. Thank you so much, Sarah. I can't believe this has come to an end.
I know. It's like I don't want to say goodbye, but I do want to get on here and interview you. So let's get that in the works.
Let's do that. Whenever you're ready, let's do that.
Thank you. It's it really was an honor.
It is my honor. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm giving you a big virtual hug, and hopefully next year I see you in person. I really am making that possible, and hopefully we show soon together in real life. And have oh my god, that would be so fun.
Yes. So you have a beautiful day. I see the sun coming up, and I'm going to be going to bed soon.
Yes. So I'm going to start my day, and you can go off to a beautiful sleep.
Okay.
With Sam.
Yes.
Sending you a big hug. Thank you so much. Love you. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. You can find all the details and links mentioned in the show notes of this episode available on www.arts2heartsproject.com. And if you like this episode, please don't forget to tag us in your stories and leave us a review here on iTunes or any of your favorite platforms. It really helps us to keep the show going. Thank you so much. I'm sending you lots of love, and I can't wait to be back here soon again. Bye.